Join us as we search Alaska and beyond for mysterious creatures, featuring Beans Baxter and Rob Roy Menzies. This is the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Hey guys, welcome to the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. I really appreciate all the viewers tuning in every Sunday for your Bigfoot Saturday morning Chuke cartoon madness Bigfoot time. So it's a really good time, and I'm just 3 weeks away from our major Bigfoot expedition near Port Chatham. And I'm really excited about that. I'll be joining Beans, and we're going to be camping and looking for Bigfoot. So really excited. I wanted to talk about one of the most amazing sights I've ever seen. I was really lucky to be able to do this. Now, when I was part of the Alaska Triangle show, they flew me down to Ketchikan, Alaska, and I love Southeast. I've been to Sitka and Juneau before, Ketchikan once before on a fishing boat, but I hadn't been to Ketchikan in a long time, and they flew me down there to check out the upside down trees and just interview people and sort of investigate it. Now, one thing about Southeast Alaska, it's what we call the Panhandle. So if this is Alaska, it's down on this area, and we're getting closer to like Washington State, British Columbia, that kind of thing. So it's completely different. It's more of a rainforest area. The trees are huge. One thing I noticed about it is once you stepped off the road, you had to be very careful. There's very steep hills in the mountainous areas, and the brush and foliage is so thick you never know what you're stepping into. It could be a crevasse that goes 20 feet down. So it just getting around is so difficult. And I could really see how a creature, primate could just blend into the forest and just get away, because there are areas where it would be very difficult for a human to get to. That, and there was food everywhere. We're talking berries, deer, all kinds of animals, fish, salmon. I mean, you could have a thriving population of these primates living down there. And another thing that stood out is the way that Sasquatch is steeped in the culture of the indigenous tribes. In fact, there was many things that they kept private and that you don't talk about. So I did have the opportunity to interview a Tlingit man and some elders and just talk about the stories of that area were just amazing. Most notably, the story where there was a large Sasquatch that came in contact with a grizzly bear and just kind of grabbed it, snapped its neck, and threw it on its shoulder. Now, the grizzly bears really reminded me of the Alaska Peninsula or Kodiak down there, because they were massive. I mean, there could easily be a 10-foot bear pushing 1,000 pounds down there. And to think about what size of a creature, how big it would have to be to do something like that, is truly mind-blowing. Now, the upside-down trees were super fascinating. Now, there are some other upside-down trees in the southeast area that are not related to these. For instance, there's a group of them in Juneau, and they are very small. And these ones, scientists say a landslide happened, because it is a rainforest. We have very steep terrain. Landslides happen fairly often in some of these areas when they get a lot of rain. And in this instance, a landslide did cause these trees to, tumble over upside down, and then they just kind of molded like that. And you had these upside down trees that looked like flowers had grown on top of them. So really interesting. In this case, that is not what happened. So first of all, it was very difficult to get to this place. Now, we did some investigation, talking with some locals. How do we get here? It was around the area of, I believe it was called Klawak Mountain. We did find a trail, a very rough trail. There's old logging roads. We'll talk about that. And we went up the mountain, kind of getting past the tree line where it's a little bit more like alpine area, but still trees spread out, and just about to give up. It was just me and one cameraman, and we had been walking most of the day since the early morning, just about to give up when we spotted one. I think I found two of the upside down trees. Now, what's significant about these trees is they're very large trees. When they were fully formed, they could have easily weighed a ton or more, and for all intents and purposes, it looked like they were ripped out of the ground, turned upside down, shoved deep into the ground, perfectly straight, and then they just stayed like that. You can't really budge them, and it's just this massive tree with the roots sticking up. So the legend has it, and the locals told us this, that the Bigfoot ripped these trees up and shoved them in the ground to mark their territory, to keep people away, and to just say, hey, this is how strong we are. You know, it's just a show of strength. And to see it was truly amazing. I got to touch the trees and just kind of, it was incredible. Now, scientists have said that they believe those trees were created by a windstorm that, you know, generations ago swept the tree up, flipped it upside down, and shoved it straight down. I don't see how a windstorm could do it with that much precision. I just don't buy that. The only possibility that I will say is possible, but I don't really think that's what happened, is these were following kind of basic logging roads. There used to be some logging there, and I don't know, 40s, 50s, and there was a legend, or some people say that loggers used to do it as kind of a joke. Now, a logger could do that, you know, wrap some chains around it. They had a lot of machinery. They could rip a tree out. And if a bunch of guys put their work into it with machinery, they could dig a hole and shove the tree down there. Now, the problem I have with that is it just doesn't make sense, because there was some fields up there with a bunch of them. In the area I was at, it was swampy, and it was off the path of where the old logging roads were, and it would be very difficult for a logging vehicle even to get to that location, and it would still be difficult with such a big tree. So I personally think that the legend of the Sasquatch is true, and that the Sasquatches flipped them over and shoved them down upside down in that fashion. Let me know what you guys think. It is truly a sight to behold. I know I put some pictures up there of me posing with the tree. I do have my weapons there because it was very kind of freaky. In the Southeast, there are just so many creatures and legends. It's a strange and bizarre place, and when you're in those thick rainforests, you just get that feeling that something's watching you a lot of times, and there probably is, because there are big bears there, there's wolves, and who else knows? You know, Sasquatch, of course, and then other creatures. There's different shapeshifter legends, but it can be kind of creepy. I will say I did get that feeling, and I'm glad I went armed, but there's deer everywhere, and I can't wait to return to that area. I know I've talked to Beans about it, and Rob Roy, and talked to Daniel with the Cryptid Wilderness Research podcast. Someday, maybe not this summer, but next summer, hopefully I want to make it back down there, and if possible, return to that area and just dig around some more and look around. So let me know what you guys think. It is truly a fascinating subject, and I think it is one of the better examples of possible Sasquatch activity that we have. Thanks for tuning in. I'll have another video out for you next Sunday. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.